In today's podcast, I'll look at the song Oxford City, also known as Jealousy and Poison in a Glass of Wine. I will show just what's known about the ballad and note its publishing history. I will sing samples of the known tunes and end on a full performance of the ballad. I'll tell to you of a fair young lady. In Oxford City she did dwell. By a servant she was courted. He oft times told her he loved her well. It's true she loved him, but at a distance. This young girl seemed not to be so fond. Oh, my dear, why do you slight me? I fear you like some other man. He said, my dear, why can't you marry? That at once would end this strife. I'll work for you both late and early, if you will be my sweet wedded wife. She said, my dear, we're too young to marry, too young to climb in a marriage bed. For when married, we're bound forever. My dear, and all our joys are fled. It was soon after this lovely creature, she was invited to a dance, you know. This jealous young man, he followed after, and then prepared her overthrow. A young woman is loved by her servant. She rejects his marriage proposal, saying she's too young. She goes to a dance, and the servant sees her dancing with someone else. He gives her a glass of wine that contains poison. When she becomes ill, he offers to walk her home. On the way, he tells her she's been poisoned, and that he too has taken poison. They both die. This popular song was written for the broadside song sheet market, and has remained very popular. It seems to stem from the early 1800s. It can't be linked to any actual murder, and may have been a popular tale turned into song. The location of the Oxford City narrative has sometimes been moved to fit in with the location of the audience and the singer. The broadside printings often left the city location blank for this purpose. Hence we have versions located in Worcester City, Reading Town and London's First City. He saw her dancing with some other, and jealousy soon filled his mind, and to destroy his own true love, this wicked young man he was inclined. Then some poison he soon prepared, and mixed it with a glass of wine. He gave the liquor to his true love, and she drank it up most cheerily. As soon as she had drunk this liquor, take me home, my dear, she did say. This glass of liquor you lately gave me made me so ill as ill can be. I've drunk the same, my own dear jewel. I shall die as well as thee, and in each other's arms they both died. Young men, beware of jealousy. The song collectors of the Folk Song Society in the early 1900s frequently collected the song in areas ranging from the English southern counties into Scotland and Ireland, and the song was well known in America. The versions collected by the song collectors tend to conform to the broadside song sheets, with some variations, as would be expected after 100 years of its existence. The versions collected from the travellers have become mixed with the song Down the Grove, adopting the name Maria as a poor poisoned lover, and is often more circumspect in its storyline. Down the Grove tells of Maria who becomes pregnant. The father becomes even more possessive and prone to jealousy. The storyline then follows the Oxford City storyline of the local dance. She dances with another man, and the jealous lover puts poison in her drink. On yonder hill stood young Maria, A jealous young lover stood by her side when he asked her for to marry. Oh no, my true love, too young, she cried. Maria was invited to a fancy dress ball. That jealous young lover, he followed behind. He saw her dancing with some other, and jealousy must have entered his mind. Now how to destroy his own true loved one? When jealousy did enter his mind, how he destroyed his own true loved one. He gave her a glass of cold poisoned wine. Now quickly she drank, and quickly she altered. Oh, pick me up, my true love, cried she. That glass of wine that you just gave me has made me as ill can be. Now I will drink one of the same love, and make myself as ill as thee. In each other's arms we'll both die together, and put an end to all jealousy. The tune and words were collected from Mrs. Louis Fuller of Copthorne in Sussex. Later she remarried and became Mrs. Louis Saunders. The song Oxford City should not be confused with the song called The Oxford Murder, which tells a different story. The narrative of the Oxford murder tells of a young woman becoming pregnant and her lover thinking that to murder her by hitting her over the head with a tree branch and throwing her body into the river would solve his problems. The Oxford Murder is a later version of the Witham Miller, which is linked to a real event that happened in Witham near Oxford in 1744. The song is also known as the Berkshire Tragedy. I gave details of that song in my podcast of the Two Sisters. The Berkshire Tragedy has evolved into songs such as The Oxford Murder, The Butcher Boy, and Floating Down the Tide.
It's of a pretty fair maid, as you shall quickly hear. This young man came a-courting to draw her in a snare. How cruel are those winter winds that blow so cold on me. How cruel was my own true love to turn his back from me. Is 20 weeks or better I've been with child by thee. I hope you'll see me out of it and quickly marry me. I will not see you out of it, nor quickly marry you. You can go unto your parents and do the best you can. I won't go to my parents for my shame and my disgrace, but in some lonesome valley I'll end my youthful days. She kissed her baby's cold lips and laid him by her side, and fixed her eyes to heaven. She bowed her head and died. As Jimmy was a-walking down by the river's side, he saw his own dear Polly come floating down the tide.
The tune and words for that version was collected by Cecil Sharp in 1904 from Mrs. Olverd of Langport in Somerset. When mechanical recordings became more widely available, the song collectors found it became easier because the collector could repeat the recording to obtain a more precise notion of the tune and words. Percy Grainger used a wax cylinder phonograph to make his recording, and he also arranged for the recordings to be made of some of his main source singers by his Master's Voice, HMV, recording company. A version of Oxford City, under the title of Worcester City, was recorded in 1908, sung by Joseph Taylor, and made available as a commercial record. The recording can be heard on Volume 3 of the Topic Records Voice of the People series. The recordings of Oxford City can be found from other country singers and from travellers, including May Bradley and Caroline Hughes. The song of jealous love and its pointless murder and suicide has an appeal to audiences and is a fine song for singing. I will end this podcast with a version of Worcester City, collected from Joseph Taylor of Lincolnshire by Percy Granger. In Worcester City there lived a damsel. Now the truth to you I'll tell. She by her servant man was courted, who oft times told her he loved her well. She loved him too, but at a distance. She did not seem to be very fond. For your fondness and unconstant fairness, I soon will end your sweet tender life. Then a short time after, this fair young damsel was invited to a ball, you know. This young man then he followed after, and soon prepared for her overthrow. As she was dancing with another, jealousy it filled his mind, and to destroy his own true lover, this young man he was inclined. Then quickly he prepared some poison, and mixed it with a glass of wine, and gave it to his own true lover. She drank it with a most fearful mind. A little after, this fair young damsel, "Now take me home, my dear," she said, "for the liquor that you have lately gave me, it makes me very ill indeed." As they was walking along together, he then unto her did say, "I gave you poison in your liquor, all for to take your sweet life away. And I have drunk the same, my jewel. I soon shall die as well as thee." So in each other's arms they died. Young men, beware of jealousy.